Assalamualaikum and hi. Today, Group 8 from 4 SSCC will be presenting about differential scanning calorimetry DSC and differential thermal analysis DTA. I'm Nur Izyani binti Mazlan and I'm going to start with the introduction. So DTA and DSC are basically among the methods of thermal analysis used to study thermal stability, melting point, glass transition temperature, flammability, and etc. So what is differential scanning calorimetry DSC? It is actually a technique where the difference of heat required to increase the temperature of both sample and reference is measured and the temperature of sample and reference is kept constant throughout the whole experiment. There are two types of DSC. The first one is heat flux DSC and the second one is power differential DSC. This is the schematic diagram for DSC. Some of the applications of this technique is to observe fusion and crystallization events as well as glass transition temperature. It is also can be used to study chemical reactions like oxidation, for example. Next is differential thermal analysis DTA. DTA is an alternative technique which provides the same information as DSC. However, instead of keeping the temperature constant, it is the heat flow to the sample and reference that remains the same. This allows phase changes which will cause a difference in temperature between sample and reference. This is the schematic diagram for DTA. And it is usually applied to determine phase diagrams, heat change measurements, and many others. The DTA is widely used in pharmaceutical and food industries, cement chemistry, mineralogical research, environmental studies, and it is also used to date bone remains and to study archaeological materials. So, what are the differences between DTA and DSC? This is the summary that I made for both DSC and DTA. So basically both of them are used in measuring glass transition, phase changes, purity evaporation, melting impurity crystallization, sublimation, polymerization, heat capacity, compatibility, pyrolysis, and many more. Happy reading! Thank you, that's all from me.
Before we move on, how does DSC and DTA work? Let me recap about the difference of DSC and DTA. The difference between DSC and DTA is DSC measures the heat flow difference while DTA measures the temperature differences between a reference sample and a sample of interest. So, let's start on how does the method work. The first one we need to know is the measurement methods of DSC, which are divided into two: heat flux DSC and power compensation DSC. Heat flux DSC is a technique in which the temperature of the sample unit formed by a sample and reference material is varied in a specified program, and the temperature difference between the sample and the reference material is measured as a function of temperature. A sample and a reference cubicle are placed on a sample holder with integrated temperature sensors to measure the temperature of the cubicles. This arrangement is located in a temperature control furnace. In contrast to the classical design, the characteristic feature of this DSC is the vertical arrangement of planar temperature sensors surrounding a planar heater. This arrangement allows a very compact, lightweight, and low heat capacity structure with the full functionality of a DSC furnace. In heat flux DSC, the changes in the heat flow are calculated by integrating the delta T reference curve. The second one is the power compensation DSC. It is a technique in which difference of thermal energy that is applied to the sample and the reference material per unit of time is measured as a function of the temperature to equalize the temperature, while the temperature of the sample unit formed by the sample and reference material is varied in a specified program. The sample and reference cubicles are separated in space. Then, the temperature of both chambers is controlled so that the sample temperature is always present on both sides. Instead of the temperature difference between the two cubicles, The electrical power required to reach and maintain this state is then recorded in power compensated DSC. I will explain about the heat flux DSC working principle because it is easier to understand. Heat flux DSC consists of the sample and reference holder, the heat resistor, the heat sink, and the heater. Heat of heater is supplied into the sample and the reference through heat sink and heat resistor. Heat flow is proportional to the heat difference of heat sink and holders. Heat sink has the enough heat capacity compared to the sample. In case the sample occurs endothermic or exothermic phenomena such as transition and reaction, this endothermic or exothermic phenomena is compensated by heat sink. Thus, the temperature difference between the sample and the reference is kept constant. The difference of the amount of heat supplied to the sample and the reference is proportional to the temperature difference of both holders. By calibrating the standard material, the unknown sample quantitative measurement is achievable. DSC enables the measurements of the transition such as the glass transition, melting, and crystallization. The result of a DSC analysis is a curve of heat flow versus temperature or time. There are two different conventions, which are exothermic reactions and the sample shown with a positive or negative peak depending on the kind of technology experiment. This curve can be used to calculate enthalpies of transitions. This is done by integrating the peak corresponding to a given transition. It can be shown that the enthalpy of transition can be expressed using the following equation: delta H equal to Ka, where delta H is the enthalpy of transition, K is the calorimetric constant, and A is the area under the curve. The calorimetric constant will vary from instrument to instrument and can be determined by analyzing a well-characterized sample with known enthalpies of transition. Glass transition may occur as the temperature of an amorphous solid is increased. These transitions appear as a step in the baseline of DSC signal. This is due to the sample undergoing a change in heat capacity, which is no formal phase change occurs. As the temperature increases, an amorphous solid will become less viscous. At some point, the molecules may obtain enough freedom of motion to spontaneously arrange themselves into a crystalline form. This is known as the crystallization temperature, TC. This transition from amorphous solid to crystalline solid is an exothermic process and results in a peak in the DSC signal. As the temperature increases, the sample eventually reaches its melting point, Tm. The melting process results in endothermic peak in the DSC signal. The ability to determine transition temperatures and enthalpies make DSC an invaluable tool in producing phase diagrams for various chemical systems. Let's move on with DTA working principle. DTA consists of the sample and reference holder, the furnace, and the thermocouple. It is a technique in which the difference in temperature between the sample and a reference material is monitored against time or temperature, while the temperature of the sample in a specified atmosphere is programmed. The sample and the reference are placed symmetrically in the furnace. The furnace is controlled under a temperature program, and the temperature of the sample and the reference are changed. During this process, a differential thermocouple is set up to detect the temperature difference between the sample and the reference. Also, the sample temperature is detected from the thermocouple on the sample side. This slide explaining about how DTA curve is obtained. Methods that do not change in the measurement temperature range, such as alpha alumina, are used as reference. When the furnace heating begins, the sample and the reference begin heating with a slight delay depending on their respective heat capacity and eventually heat up according to the furnace temperature. Delta T change until a static state is reached after the heating begins, and after achieving stability, reach a set amount compliant with the difference in heat capacity between the sample and the reference. The signal at the static state is known as baseline. When the temperature rises and the melting occurs in the sample, for example, the temperature rise stops as shown in graph A and the delta T increases. When the melting ends, the temperature curve rapidly reverts to the baseline. At this point, the delta T signal reaches the peak, as shown in graph B. From this, we can detect the sample transition temperature and the reaction temperature from the delta T signal or DTA signal. In graph B, the temperature difference due to the sample endothermic change is shown as negative direction, while the temperature difference due to the sample exothermic change is shown as positive direction. Last but not least, this slide is a summary of DSC and DTA thermogram. This is the idealized DSC or DTA thermogram, and this one is the methods of reporting transition temperatures.
Now, let's move on to the examples of DSC. The first one is the standard DSC that is also known as heat flux DSC. The component of this DSC includes two pans which are empty reference plate and the other contains the polymer sample. Within the DSC system, there is also a thermoelectric disk. Calorimetric measurements are then taken by heating both of the sample and empty reference plate at a controlled rate. Next, purged gas is admitted through an orifice in the system. Thermocouples within the thermoelectric disk then register the temperature difference between the two plates. Once a temperature difference between the two plates is measured, the DSC system will alter the applied heat to one of the pans to keep the temperature between the two pans constant. As you can see, this is the DSC thermogram for polyethylene polymer. The first circle is the glass transition temperature Tg, which is the transition between a brittle or viscous state. The second circle is the crystallization Tc, which is the formation of crystalline structures. The third circle is melting temperature Tm, which is the breaking process of intramolecular bonds. Based on the DSC thermogram, the resulting plot, there is one in which the heat flow is understood to be a function of temperature and time. As such, the slope at any given point is proportional to the heat capacity of the sample. The plot as a whole, however, is representative of thermal events within the polymer. Next is the modulated DSC that is more advanced than the standard DSC as it uses both linear and sinusoidal heating rate, and it also can help to solve the problem and limitation that comes from the standard DSC. As in MDSC, a sinusoidal function is superimposed on the overall temperature program. It also has several advantages such as a low separation of total heat flow into its heat capacity and kinetic components. It also offers simultaneous improvement in sensitivity and resolution. In addition, it can separate overlapping events that are difficult or impossible to do by standard DSC. In this modulated DSC, the overall signal is mathematically deconvoluted into two parts, which are, the first one is the reversing heat flow signal that is associated with heat capacity component. The second one is non-reversing heat flow signal that is associated with kinetic process. We must take note that exothermic and endothermic events may appear in either or in both signal. Now, let's move on to the examples of DTA. Basically, DTA consists of two systems which are classical DTA and Boersma DTA. In these both of the systems, the difference in temperature between a substance and reference material are measured as a function of temperature. The sample and reference are subjected to control temperature program, and also the measured sample temperature relative to a reference for the same heat transfer. There is also phenomena that can cause changes in the temperature, and it can be divided into two, which are physical and also chemical. As we can see here, this is the DTA thermogram of calcium oxalate monohydrate. The thermogram shows the decomposition in carbon dioxide atmosphere and also in air atmosphere. So, how do we can interpret the DTA thermogram? As we can see, the first circle indicates the TG, the second circle indicates the crystallization, and the third circle indicates the TM. K can be determined by measuring the delta H and peak area of the known metals.
That's all from us, Group 8. Thank you. Now get ready for the Q&A session, okay?